Hey McKendree, it's Chef Julie from Wednesday Night Suppers. You know, when this pandemic is over, we're all going to be ready for a good party. And one of the things I have served at, when catering through the years have been meatballs. People love meatballs. They go fast, people are crazy for them, and they're very versatile and changeable. So I'm going to show you how to make a basic meatball recipe, which I call a party meatball, but then change it into something that's dinner worthy just by adding in some various ingredients. So let's get started making these meatballs. Alright, there's a variety of meats you can use in making a meatball. What I have today is just a regular ground beef, 80-20 fat content, but you can use a combination of meats. I've used ground turkey, which works nice. I've used ground lamb. You can use part beef, part lamb, or part pork, part beef, whatever you like. Today I happen to have ground beef, so that's what I'm going to use. Now the first thing I want to add in are soft breadcrumbs. These are fresh breadcrumbs that I made in the food processor. If you don't have fresh breadcrumbs, it's fine. You can use these dried breadcrumbs, traditional dried breadcrumbs. You'll want to decrease the amount by a little bit, but maybe about a third. And here's a little hint too, like don't throw these bad pieces of bread away. Put them in the food processor and then put them in a baggie and put them in your freezer, and that way you always have breadcrumbs. Just thaw them and you've got fresh breadcrumbs. So the next thing I want to add into this meat mixture is onions, and that is half a cup of finely chopped onions. And you do want it finely chopped because it needs to cook within the meatball. If you don't finely chop it, you'll need to saute it on the stove before you add it into the meat mixture. Now to get those breadcrumbs kind of softer even and a little more moist, we're going to add in a third cup of milk. Whole milk, you know, half and half, even 2% would be fine. So now we're going to add in one egg that I've beaten. And we're going to add in 1 teaspoon of kosher salt and about a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. And then the last thing I like to do is just add a couple of splashes of Worcestershire sauce, probably about a half teaspoon probably. Alright, now the best way to mix meatballs is going to be with your hands. So you just go in and let's just mix the meatballs, the meat mixture. You're looking for a nice consistency where everything is incorporated well. Alright, that is looking nice. And alright, I'm going to talk a little bit about ways you can take this basic meatball recipe, and this is a basic one, but we can change it by adding in some things and making it taste like an entirely new thing. So let me show you how to do some of that. I think every country in the world has their own form of meatball. If I were doing a ground lamb meatball, and I'm thinking about putting a little bit of a Greek flair to it, I would use some lemon zest. I would probably use some fresh dill that's been chopped, or some mint, which would really be an interesting flavor to put into the Greek meatballs. So there's one option for you. Another option is to make a North African meatball, and you can see here I have a variety of spices. I have smoked paprika and turmeric and cumin, coriander, some garlic powder, just a lot of different things here that are very different. I also would add in some fresh parsley to that, or cilantro would be awesome as well. Now if I were making a Swedish meatball, I would add in some nutmeg or some allspice or both. Maybe cardamom. I'm not a fan of it, so it wouldn't be in my Swedish meatballs, but it might be in yours. And I'd add in also some fresh parsley with that one. Now what I'm in the mood for today is Italian, so I'm going to add in some things to show you how to make an Italian meatball. Everybody loves Italian, right? So I'm going to add in some garlic powder. About a half a teaspoon to a teaspoon. I'm eyeballing it right now. Let's throw that in. I have some chopped fresh parsley. Add that in. I also have some Italian dried seasoning. I've got about a teaspoon of Italian herbs that have been dried and about a half a teaspoon of dried oregano. If you use fresh oregano, go a little bit easy. It's got a really strong flavor, and I probably prefer the dried for that reason. And then I've got about 3 tablespoons of grated Parmesan cheese. You don't have to use the real expensive stuff for this. It'll be fine. Now that I've got that added into my meat mixture to go toward making Italian meatballs. I just want to make sure that's well incorporated. So once again, using my hands, gloves are very nice right now. Something your kids could do to help you mix and form the meatballs. I think that looks very pretty. It's going to taste good. I can smell it. Let's talk a little bit about how to roll these meatballs. Of course, you can use your hands, or you can use a spoon, and that's perfectly fine. But what I have is a number 10 scoop. This is something that I just love for meatballs. I also use it for cookie dough, but for meatballs, I think it gives you the perfect size meatball. Also, there's two ways to cook these meatballs. One is to fry them on top of the stove with a little bit of oil. If you do that, first you want to coat them in a mixture of flour, and then I add a little bit of paprika. It just adds a little bit more flavor to the coating of the meatball. But you know, there's another method, which is baking, and I'm feeling a little lazy, and that's what I'm going to do tonight. So all I have to do is take that meatball after I've portioned it out and rolled it, and place it directly on a cookie sheet. That cookie sheet has been sprayed, and I put foil on it before I sprayed it. So I'm just going to pat these out, roll these out, and they are going to go in a 375-degree oven, and it should only take them 15 to 20 minutes to be done. So once all these meatballs are rolled out and they're baked and they come out of the oven, then I'm going to show you what I've done using some of these other ingredients to give you a variety of ways to use meatballs. Well, everybody, I wanted to show you the variety of meatball dishes that were made, starting with just the basic party meatball recipe. This is the basic party meatball recipe, and we just glazed it with a barbecue glaze on it. That's definitely going to be at my next party. This is the North African dish. Actually, it's a takeoff on the New York Times, but I've served that one with couscous, because I just love couscous and I like North African flavors as well. Now I'm going to guess cameraman Steve is going to go for this one. This is the Swedish meatballs with homemade mashed potatoes, and we even have authentic lingonberry jam on the side. I don't know why I had that, but I did. So that's what he's going to have for dinner. This is the Italian meatballs that we did, and I found these cute little sub rolls. I wanted to do a meatball sub, and I couldn't find the big rolls, so these were kind of cute. And so they have provolone cheese melted on top and the meatball stuffed inside. And then lastly, the classic meatballs and spaghetti. So this is just a sample, a small sample of what you can do with the meatballs. They're very easy to do. You saw that. So I hope you'll give all of these a try, and more even. So I'll see you next time, and God's peace be with you all. Got my fork. Are you still filming? No, don't. I need to do the meatball. Oh,
Oh, this is going in. This is what you don't do on a cooking show.
I could have done the meatball first. It's really good meatball.